think I mean when I talk about shutdown? What do you think is the real term for a shutdown? Any idea? Don't be shy.
Shutdown refers to something on a smaller scale, probably.
That's very common for people to think that, and it's almost always true. But here's the real reference to a shutdown. It's process integrity versus asset integrity. So shutdowns are related to what's going on inside the pipe. So the molecule, the hydrocarbon, the filter, the catalyst, and everything inside. So this is process integrity, and this is also in the book for definition. So what do you think is turnaround? Process, exactly. This is asset integrity. And this has to do mostly with the pressure equipment and the piping, the pressure safety valves, and the integrity of the mechanical equipment that we have regulation, right? The insurance company or the government says, you must do a turnaround. But they don't tell us that we have to do a shutdown. That's our problem. If we foul up our exchanger or we have an issue with catalyst, they don't care about that. That's our problem. Right? So what do we mean with outage, do you think?
There's something unplanned.
And that's a good example. But here's the terminology we're going to use. An outage is maintenance that we cannot do when the plant is running. Like an overhaul on a compressor, for example. We take an outage to perform that because we cannot do it when we're running the plant. So this is what we call as off-stream. So what do you think is maintenance? It's on-stream, right? So these are work orders. These are from my maintenance system. I'm performing overhauls on equipment, and I have maybe PDM or PMs or inspection I can do while the plant is running. So when I do a shutdown, do you think I'm doing some turnaround work? Probably I can. When I do a shutdown, am I taking down only one piece of equipment or one unit or one plant? Here's the trick. It can be anything from an entire plant because I fouled the whole plant, or I need to take down my flare system so I cannot operate, so I have to take everything down. It can be scheduled or unscheduled. So lots of times I have to shut down a unit or an exchanger or a compressor or something because I fouled it, I have no integrity. I'm getting off-spec product or I have an issue with my process. So it can be unplanned or planned, or unscheduled or scheduled. Turnarounds are never unplanned. We plan them for years, for in a 20-year plan, right? We know for 20 years that we have to do a turnaround every 3 years or 5 years, and we know the equipment. It's not a secret. Unless we modify the plant, we know what we're going to work on, okay? In the outage, it could be on a piece of equipment, it could be in a unit, on a system, same with our maintenance. So all of this is going to relate to one important thing that we're going to work on this morning. It's called WBS. This is the work breakdown structure we're going to build in our Primavera project. And one of the things that we want to try to do in this technology is have the ability to transfer data and information between different applications. So if we're running on an SAP platform or Maximizer or Maximo, GAD Edwards platform, we want to communicate between Primavera and our work order management system, for example. All of that is done through a WBS using two key fields. I want you to remember this. These are key fields in my database. One of them is work order, because it's always unique. Okay? There's never a work order number duplicated. What do you think is the number 2? There's always a work order, but when I create a work order, what else do I have to do? That's close. The equipment tag. Okay? The equipment tag, the equipment number or ID, these two are the most important things for us when we plan and schedule and control our shutdown. Because we're going all the way down to the pump and all the way up to the flare system or all the way to the reactors, many things, but we always do them this way. This happens here, here, and here. So when we are going to be going through our project to build a project plan, we're going to always focus on these 2 keys. And it will be under the WBA. So let me show you a little bit about this particular training. We're going to, it's going to be high level, but we're going to be working on a turnaround where the primary idea is to do asset integrity inspection. We'll also be doing cleaning, because when we do a turnaround, we always clean. We always replace catalyst if we need to, replacing filter. And we're going to be doing some maintenance work that we need to work on equipment until the next turnaround. And that will be a combination of the stationary work, so all of the piping and valves and filters, the reboiler. Rotating equipment will be the pumps and compressors, and then electrical instrumentation. So these are the primary categories of work. But here is a very important thing we need to talk about. The KPI. Is everyone familiar with key performance indicators? KPI? Somebody want to talk about that while I drink my water?
The duration to complete the shutdown or one of the KPI.
Sure, one is the outage duration, right? It's very important to some people. Why? Yeah, we're not making money, right? Anybody else have another example of what we measure to know whether we are successful?
Safety.
Safety, cost, quality.
Discovery.
That's a very good one. It's not always a key indicator, but it's a very good one to measure. We're going to talk about how we can plan for that and do more predicting on discovery work, because we shouldn't have as much as we do. But it's interesting when people talk about those KPI, there's 5, and safety is always usually the #1 thing we talk about. But people are focused on 2 of them, especially the senior managers. The stakeholders, they want to know how much will it cost and how long is it going to take. Is that the most important thing?
No.
No. Why do you think that's not that important?
Because if there's any serious safety incident, for example, legality, then probably we can't run the plant. The regulators might shut us down for extended periods.
Exactly. So when someone tells you that they are a superstar, okay, maybe on LinkedIn or maybe in the coffee shop, I am a superstar. We came in on time, on budget. So then you know that they are not a superstar. Okay, they are just making the talking. You can say that's not impressive. So what is impressive if you're a superstar? Which you want to be, right? Everybody here has the potential to be a superstar because of 3 things that you can do that are more important than cost and the duration. So #1, the safety. If you have no incident, lost time, or accident, that's impressive to me. You are a superstar. If you have no quality issue like rework or leaks when you start up, you are a superstar. If you get good wrench time, tool time, efficiency from the worker, how much do you think it is in 10-hour shift in Canada, how much time do you think the worker spends on the tool?
6 to 7 hours.
That would be a dream. That would be like the best class. It's like 3.5, 4. It's terrible. And why do you think that is?
Breaks, logistics.
Breaks, lunch, wash up, safety, SA, looking for tool. Why are they looking for tools?
Not prepared.
Poor plan. Why are they looking for gasket?
Poor plan.
Why are they looking for the torque wrench? They don't have the information. Wasn't in the plan. There's many times that we, if we're going to be a superstar, need to get that wrench time as high as possible without having the accident and the quality issue. That's our job. So I call that efficiency. So there is efficiency and there's effective. It's two different things. If you're in planning and scheduling and project controls, you are in the efficiency business. Okay? You didn't decide what to work on. Somebody else did that. The scope of work for the project, someone told you what is the scope of work. Now you have to do the work safely, with quality and efficiency. Agreed? What happens if you have a high safety, high quality, high efficiency? What happens to cost and it's the best, right? It's the lowest cost and the shortest duration. It's an outcome of how well you do those other three. That's what we want to focus on here, is those three. Because if you want to be really good in this business and be an asset in your company, a superstar, those are the three things you need to be thinking about. So when we talk about schedule or scheduling, sorry, I forgot what we were going to sleep on. My computer is like someone in the back of the room. I have to all the time wake it up. So when I say, you know the Gantt chart, remember the Gantt chart picture? Is that a schedule? Okay, in this room, no. For the next 3 days, it's not a schedule. Schedule is a word that we use, an action verb, to produce a project plan, okay? So you're going to hear me talk about the project plan all the time. That is a project plan, and the plan is not complete until every stakeholder has put their strategy together into the plan. So the planner and scheduler can only schedule what has been planned and estimated and the strategies. So they cannot work in isolation, like in a vacuum. They need the logistics plan, the execution plan, the communication plan. They need the strategies from contracting strategy and resource strategy to put into the computer to produce an overall project plan. So you're going to hear me talk about project plans versus the schedule, because to me, you cannot produce something in the future like the look ahead. Have you heard of look ahead schedule? That's one thing we're going to try to unlearn in this training. We don't do look ahead. If you can predict what you're going to do in 3 days from now, you might as well buy a lottery ticket, because you can see in the future. But we can't see in the future. So all we can do is produce a new project plan or a new plan every 24 hours or every 12 hours. But remember, there's two schedulers, right? Number one is who? Me. Number two is the computer. If I need to produce a new plan for another 24 hours because we didn't earn what we thought, I can't do that as a human being. If I spend 2 months making the pretty Gantt chart, I need the computer to help me produce a new plan. And the computer can do that while I'm drinking my tea. because I've programmed it to correct what changed and make a new plan for the next 12 hours, because we need to get the earned value every day. That's the most important thing for us, is safety, quality, and earned value. We need to earn. So we do that with the computer, putting together that project plan. So I'll come back to these more in more detail later, but remember the KPI, the three most important. So number one is what? Safety. Number two, quality. Number three, exactly. Good for you. It's almost time for coffee now then. Let me go through one more page. So here's what we're going to look at for lessons. And again, I said I broke it into three categories. Today is mostly planning and estimating, and we're going to do an exercise after lunch, because that's when everybody starts to fall asleep after lunch. So I'm going to break into a team and build plans for us to input into the computer. We'll do that as a group. Planning and estimating is two different things. There's only two steps to planning. It's really easy. One is the activity, and the other is the logic. That's it. That's planning. And it's a logical thing to do. It doesn't take any imagination. It's a logical thing. So then estimating is how long will it take, how much material do I need, how many people do I need. That's estimating. Scheduling is when I'm going to do something, and then controlling in the project. So today is planning, estimating. Tomorrow is programming, scheduling, and then on day 3 is project controls, earn value, and updating, controlling the project. So that's how I broke it. So here, today we're talking about, again, I'm talking about methodology, presentation, planning, scheduling, project controls. So on lesson 1, we're going to do project and setting the defaults. And then what I mentioned here, that one of the most important things is WBS. Then we're going to set up what we call as a phase, because we need to phase our project for the shutdown phase, the pre-work phase, the mechanical phase, startup phase, because we always phase our projects. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Then we're going to create, in lesson 4, we talk about activity codes, because if we don't code the computer, it doesn't know what we're asking. These are two of the codes. The computer wants to know what work order are you scheduling and on what piece of equipment. Okay? Then we're going to create some layouts, because in Primavera there are so many options that you can have different fields and different views. We're going to learn about that. And then managing data is more about making filters and grouping and sorting so that I can control my data. So then we'll work on creating the plan job package. And then tomorrow we'll be more into resources and productivity. So when you talk about wrench time, even if we get the 6 hours of wrench time in 10 hours, what happens to the other 4 hours? Do I pay for that? Yeah, I have to pay for that, but I don't earn anything, right? So when we get into earned value project controls, we're going to talk about plan and actual and earn. It's 3 different things. And we want to learn exactly what that means, because people get them very confused. In Primavera, they call it budgeted. They talk about budgeted rather than plan. That's their terminology, because it's very cost-based. So we're going to call it plan. Then we're going to look at how we schedule, creating our work packages. And then on the last day, most of it will be on creating, doing our leveling, which is the dynamic scheduling, creating reports, which are very important to us to have the proper reporting, and then updating our progress and earn value on the last day. So again, today we're looking at more getting familiar with the software, and again, relax when you're working on that. Don't worry if you can't keep up with the lesson. If you need some help, just put up your hand. If you have already experience, don't be afraid to help each other to get to the different level. And we'll just work through them one lesson at a time. But again, I remind you, we need to have fun and be interactive and to ask whatever question you can, because there is so much information. We could talk about this for 1 month. We want to try to make sure we get everything combined. So I think this is a good time we take a break. We'll come back when we get started getting into Primavera and the first lesson and set up our project. Like I said, we'll take that.